Well, hello! How are you guys doing? Welcome back to Rule of Two Review, and of course, Happy New Year, Happy 2017, 2016, the year of death and chaos and torment is finally behind us, and man, it feels so good. So of course, now that it is 2017, I felt it was important for me to get on camera for you guys, wish you a quick Happy New Year, and hope that your 2017 turns out 1,000 times better than most of our 2016 was. My 2016 was so bad in so many ways. One of the few bright spots, actually, of 2016 for me was Rule of Two Review, because this channel saw so much growth and so much positive reception throughout the year, and I'm so thankful for that. E3 was a huge boost for the channel, E3 this year, or last year now, 2016, and a lot of the NX stuff, and then the Switch stuff, and there was just a lot of really cool attention coming to the channel, and a lot of growth, and obviously some good things are coming from that, which I'll touch on again in a minute, and I thought that was really cool, so definitely thank you guys. It is so cool that you guys are even interested in me, and interested in Rule of Two Review, and enjoy hearing me talk about Nintendo and video games and all that stuff. That feels pretty good, so I have to say thank you for that. But really, I didn't really have a plan for this video. I just wanted to kind of turn the camera on, touch base with you guys just about the fact that we're in 2017, and it is the year of the Nintendo Switch. How freaking crazy. Here we are on the cusp of a brand new Nintendo console. One of those things that we are luckily blessed with only every few years. And it's interesting because I've talked about this before. It's always exciting when new hardware is coming out. Whenever the PlayStation 5 and next Xbox, the Scorpio, whatever, whenever those are going to be coming out, it will be exciting. I enjoy all the companies, so it's always great when new hardware is coming and it feels like a new generation is ready to get started. Obviously, kicking off the 8th generation didn't go very well. It took many years before either company, Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft, really had a lot of consistent, pretty good software coming, and the third parties. So the 8th generation has been really weird, but still, when you go back to 2012 and the launch of the Wii U, and then 2013 with the launch of the PS4 and Xbox One, man, that was an exciting time. You know, it really, really was. It definitely, to me, was eclipsed by the previous generation launches. I think going into the 5th and 6th generation was awesome. I mean, that was just so much fun. I'll never forget the launch of the GameCube and the Xbox, and that was such a crazy week because I remember trading in my Nintendo 64 to pick up a GameCube at, was it Game Force? Someplace. It was, back when I was living in Denver, I think Game Force was the store that I found a GameCube at because they were impossible to find, and I was like, oh my god, hold it, I'm going to walk home, get my Nintendo 64 and all my games, and bring it back and trade it in for a GameCube. And that is what I ended up doing, and it was just so cool. Playing Wave Race and Luigi's Mansion that first couple of months was so exciting. I've told this story before. My buddy picked up an Xbox and had Halo, and we went over to his house every day for weeks and stayed up until the wee hours of the morning playing Halo, finishing that campaign, being blown away by this first-person co-op thing with this AI squad, which was so cool. And then, playing through the multiplayer. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. The point is, a new generation is always exciting. And we are effectively coming up to what I think is the first 9th generation machine. I think that's fair to say. I discussed that on a video recently, what the Nintendo Switch and Xbox Scorpio are really going to constitute themselves as. A 9th generation, 8.5, just another 8th generation. What the hell generations are we in? I don't even know anymore. I feel like those lines are too blurred at this point to fully say. But without question, we are still getting a new generation of Nintendo hardware, and it's going to be awesome. And I know that everyone's excited. I'm freaking excited. In a week and a half, I should say, not even a couple of weeks, in like less than 2 weeks, Nintendo will be on stage in Tokyo, Japan, showing the world the Nintendo Switch. I believe here in the States, where I live, North America, in the States, the East Coast, that's going to air at 11 p.m., which really sucks for you guys. Here on the West Coast, it's 8 p.m. Totally wonderful for me. I'll be home from work. I'll get to watch it live just the way I want to watch it. I'm not having to force myself to stay up late. I feel like it's only going to be like between half an hour and an hour or an hour. We can want this thing to be like 2 hours of just Nintendo goodness, but I don't really necessarily see it being that way, guys. So it'll be an interesting thing to see play out. How long is this going to be, and how interesting is it going to be? I think one thing I'll say before I get to the last thing I want to really talk with you guys about is what we should expect from this, because I'm trying to prepare myself for the worst case scenario. I think we all would be smart and wise to do so. A, because our expectations are so high, and B, because as much as we love Nintendo, they are the kings of setting us up for massive hype and letting us down. And I even said that going into the NX and the Switch reveal, and, they nailed it with the Switch reveal, of course, but for some reason, I have a little bit of trepidation with this Tokyo thing, just because, not so much because of the Switch itself. I'm totally sold that the Switch is going to be great and everything about the Switch is going to be great, but this presentation, I don't know if we're necessarily going to get an E3 type thing, you guys. I don't know if we're going to get fireworks and fancy lights and a bunch of developers coming on stage and a bunch of game demos and a bunch of huge reveals. And then we also have this game behind the curtain and everyone loses their mind. And then it's like, oh, but we have this game behind this curtain and everyone loses their mind. I mean, it could be that, but I don't know that I'm expecting that. What I'm wondering is if they're planning on doing it. This is going to sound really scary to you guys, but bear with me. Similar to the way that Sony did the PS4 Pro thing. And we all know that the PS4 Pro presentation wasn't exciting and wasn't really successful for a lot of people. And obviously the system itself isn't really blowing anyone's balls off because it's really just okay hardware. Or Nintendo, Sony didn't quite know how they wanted to show it off. And so the presentation was a little drab and slow and just kind of monotone and boring. It didn't really get anyone excited. And what was interesting about the PS4 Pro thing is people sort of forget it was billed, literally, quotations, business meeting. That's what they called that thing. They didn't say huge gala events, fireworks included E3 presentation, PlayStation 4 Pro event. They didn't say any of that shit. It was literally just PlayStation 4 business meeting, or whatever, PlayStation 4 Pro. I don't remember if the name was revealed at the time or not. But that's what it was. And so they ended up kind of presenting it as such. They weren't trying to excite people and excite the gamer. They were trying to speak to the business minds in the room, and they happened to live stream it. So a lot of the gaming public, we of course tuned in to see what this thing was going to be, but they weren't really making it a presentation for the gamer to get the gamer excited the way TGS and E3 happen. And so it came off, even though Sony didn't really try to sell it that way, still people expected it. So it came off more boring than I think it was really meant to. And that's partly Sony's fault and partly our fault for not paying attention to what that was. I mean, probably more Sony's fault than anything, but still, I think that the conversation rests. And so coming into the Nintendo thing, I can't think of any of the phrasing that they've used, but I think some of the way they've built it and who they've asked, like their business and marketing partners or something like that, they've used some phrasing and who they're inviting and how they've been billing this presentation to sound a little bit more akin to something like Sony's PS4 business meeting and less like a TGS or an E3 stage conference. And I think there's a significant difference, as we've seen. Look at Sony's E3 conference this last year and look at their PlayStation 4 Pro conference. The difference there is what I'm talking about. We might get Nintendo's equivalent to the Sony E3 thing, or we might get Nintendo's equivalent to Sony's PS4 Pro thing. And that makes me nervous because I think that it's just going to let a lot of people down, and then the buzz and the press and the hype might be lower, and there might be an air of disappointment. And that would be really sad because if Nintendo still has quality stuff to show, if they still show us the Switch looks great, I think that's what's going to matter. Oh, the Switch looks great. The power looks great. The games look great. The battery life is great. The price is great or whatever. If all those things are good, but the presentation is boring, I would like for people to be able to say, well, it was a boring show, but man, the Switch is going to be great. And that's the good news here. So anyway, that was I've been on a couple tangents in this video, so I'm sorry, guys. I think that that's something important to remember just going into it. So any one of you guys who watches this video, maybe remember that going into January 12th. We should be excited. Nintendo should be prepared to blow our balls off, but it's entirely possible that Nintendo is not prepared to do that. They might have a whole different game plan with this, and it might be just fairly straightforward, not exciting. It might not even be in English, so it might be something where we have to watch it with translation, or they might have someone translating. I mean, it really is probably entirely possible it's not meant to be this streamed to the world big exciting thing. And so we just have to prepare ourselves for not an exciting show, but let's just pay attention to the details. Let's just see what we can learn about the Switch and not look for excitement on stage. Because if we do that, I think we're all going to walk away very, very happy. And so beyond that, I don't want to certainly get anyone down about Nintendo and the Switch and the presentation this year. This is really meant to still get people excited. So I do want people's expectations tempered simply because it's Nintendo and you never know with those guys. But it's great. I still think we're going to get awesome news about the Switch on January 12th in less than 2 weeks. And that is freaking fantastic. I'm shaking in my boots to see what's going to happen. The other reason I'm shaking in my boots, as you guys obviously already know too, is because just the day after that, I get to go to New York City to actually play the Switch, thanks to Nintendo inviting me to do so. So, I mean, this is the year of the Switch for all of us. It's definitely the year of the Switch for me. I can't believe how incredibly awesome it is that I'm able to go to New York, and not just because of randomness, but because, I talked to someone at Nintendo and they wanted me to come. And that feels so good. There's like an extra level special of recognition you kind of feel if you do something like what I do with Rule to Review, this very small but slightly growing YouTube channel that I do that people really do seem to enjoy. Luckily, I'm overwhelmed with positivity 95% of the time. I get the occasional negative stuff coming at me through the channel, and I feel very lucky in that respect as well. So because of this YouTube channel and the fact that you guys seem to like it and the fact that I try really hard at it, Nintendo, my favorite company, the reason I even started the channel was like, hey, you're pretty great. Why don't you come to New York and play the Switch, for us? And no, they're not paying for me to go out there. Someone asked me that on Twitter. I am not that big of a YouTube channel. I'm not PewDiePie. I'm not IGN. I bought my own plane ticket with my own money and set up my own arrangements for staying out there. And I don't mind that. I make good money. I can do it, and I'm happy to do it because it's for Nintendo. But it's just incredible to get the invitation, you guys. And yes, I could go to San Francisco, but Nintendo didn't invite me to San Francisco. They invited me to New York City, and that's incredible. And to me, that's the day after their event in Tokyo where they show the world the Switch. And it's in New York where they do a lot of things. I mean, I have this, I don't want to jinx it, man, but I have this slight hope in my heart that maybe someone really cool like Reggie might actually be there meeting people to say, hey, thanks for checking out the Switch. Welcome, have fun, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? And if that happens, or even Bill or myriad other people, even the two folks that I've been talking to at Nintendo, if they were there, I'd love to shake their hands and thank them, implicitly for getting me out to New York to do this. So anyway, I don't want to overblow that. At the end of the day, it's going to be a 2 or 3 day trip to New York. I'm going to spend 4 hours playing the Switch. It's going to be incredible, but then I'll be back home living my life like normal. So it's not like really anything I want to overblow. But for all of those reasons, it's just really exciting that it is 2017. There's a lot of good stuff that's going to happen in gaming. Sony and Microsoft have exciting things. I'm very excited for Horizon Zero Dawn on the PlayStation 4. I'm very curious to see what the Xbox Scorpio is going to be. I'm curious to see if we get some sort of information on Halo 6, because I love Halo. I loved Halo 5. I don't care what anyone says. And I want to see where Halo is going to go, and I'm very excited to see what 6 is going to be like. I need more Cortana in my life. They have messed with my heart with Cortana in Halo 5, and I'm really nervous, so I just need to see how that's all going to play out. So really, it's just going to be a great year for gaming. It's going to be the year of Nintendo and year of Nintendo Switch, brand new Nintendo hardware. So freaking exciting, and I just can't wait. So that's what's going on, guys. Tell me what you think about your excitement level for Nintendo this year, for the Switch this year. What's going to happen with the 3DS? Do you think the PS4 and Xbox One are going to do okay? What are you excited for in 2017? Hopefully you had a fantastic and very safe and friendly New Year's for 2016. And that's it for now, man. So I'll see you guys pretty soon. This, of course, is Rob of Rule to Review. Thanks, of course, for checking out the channel and supporting me. And I will see you guys next time on another video.